welcome into Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as. It doesn't matter. I've been called everything under the sun for some reason, and in a good way. I don't care. So that's what an empowered woman looks like. So welcome to my one video each day, 365-day campaign seeking donors and a viewer family and everything else to make up for a life lost beginning January 2011, the fourth Monday of. And today is day 64 of the 365-day campaign. And of course, I'm always seeking donors, big and small, short and tall, anything at all, to be able to keep going, to earn a living. I do see this as a way of earning a living in addition to taking on all kinds of odd jobs and other things that I do. I was pursuing a regular life and was actually hoping to move to the Pacific Northwest back in 2010. And all of those plans were cut short. Any dreams that I had of, I can ride over with Steph and Meg, some friends that I had who were actually moving out there. And they had family out there. And I had another friend who I visited in 2010 in Seattle. So I really had laid some plans to move and possibly get a regular traditional job, maybe at a university or something. All of that cut short in 2011 when my life would change on a dime and I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment by a series of orchestrated events. Really hard to explain. And I try to do so on daily videos here. But this happened during the witching hours of the morning, but somewhere between 3 and 4:30ish, when most people, even if they worked at restaurants or bars, would be home kind of calling it a night. And people who usually get up early wouldn't yet be ready to get up early for the day. So it happened when most people were silent at home and not moving around. And I think that was done on purpose. A bunch of things happened, some ruckus in front of my window. I was in a first floor apartment. And on the front half, it's like a row home that was converted to apartments. And then a white idling van was outside. And my laptop snapped on all by itself. I don't know what activated it to come on, but it made the jingle and the sound that it used to make back in the day. And I didn't have a Mac. I've for many years had to sort of go with Dell or similar for monetary reasons. But back in the day, they used to have like a daisy that was in like a rounded square, if you will. And that's what came on. And I actually believed more than 5,000% wholeheartedly that someone was coming out through the basement to kill me. I was shaking, trembling, convulsing. I could barely hold. At the time, I had, for the first time ever, a smartphone. I was late to the smartphone party. But I had finally gotten one. It was a little palm phone is what they were called. I think it was through Verizon. I could barely hold it. I called my sister. She finally convinced me to call police. Anyway, I would try to call my mom the next day, but their phone lines had been snipped. Or whatever you want to call it. My mom and aunt lived together in Jacksonville at the time. And when I tried to call them in a more normal hour, I got, we're sorry, the phone number you're trying to reach has been disconnected. So sounds like a horror film already, as if it'd been set up, which is probably what happened. And it was. So, and if that weren't enough, the games commenced. And a lot of people who I had been networking with and mingling with and going to, special events with, Brandi Carlile concerts. I think I wound up at 3 Brandi Carlile concerts because she was just on the cusp of like becoming big way back then. I know all her old stuff. I participated in running and dragon boat racing. I was volunteering with a couple different groups. Team Philadelphia, I volunteered with the Sapphire Fund. And all of this was going for me, if you will. I actually felt like I found a place to belong. But all the people I turned to who I met through everything I just said would behave the opposite of what you would expect. And, in my case, and this is not a truth for everyone, but meaning anyone else who might be targeted in a similar way, I think whatever the targeting involves, they turn whatever world you thought you belonged in or thought you found friends in, they will make them look the enemy. That's been a theory that's been floated. But anyway, everyone I turned to behaved the opposite in the LGBT community. Making one feel supported is usually a high priority. Validating people, unless it's this area, Philadelphia isn't that nice, you know. So it turns out I didn't find as much support as I thought amongst the very people I was mingling with at the time. In fact, some of them would almost suggest that I was crazy. So it would be like, say you got gang raped and people said you were crazy. That is severe blaming the victim. So it's in that realm. So anyway, but what I wanted to add was I lost a life by the hands of people who milled around this city, and this city was stocked big time that year. We had a historic Philadelphia Arts Festival. PAFA is the acronym. They had an historic event that year, and for many, many months, they had a lot of art installations and all kinds of special events going around the city. People from around the world came. It had a French theme, and we even had people who were similar to the Cirque du Soleil, you know, swinging from the rafters over Broad Street for a special nighttime show one night. And I mean, this city was jam-packed more than ever before. I actually believe that. And I actually think people were brought into the city for whatever was kicked off. And I happened to be the target of something very major. We had people from all over the place, people with, you know, tags from Sweden, Britain, Switzerland, you know, and I don't see that so much here. Even their cars were brought over. But the biggest issue is so many people walking around here who might have unleashed the attack acted omniscient or self-righteous, or the constant messages, and people would actually say this on the street. I would be walking to, say, a dog walk. So I was walking dogs as it was supposed to be a temporary job because I actually was planning to move. Turned into a permanent one that I felt human trafficked through because I couldn't escape. Like I couldn't figure out where to go because I was so traumatized and the PTSD was off the rafters. I couldn't figure out what to do or how to get help. And here in Philadelphia, you don't get much help, it turns out. And they don't like to diagnose people at the affordable clinics where you would go for, say, like a therapist or what have you, because they don't want to pathologize, particularly women, because of how the world operates. So on one hand, it's good. On another hand, not so much. But it doesn't matter. Even if I had a PTSD diagnosis, turns out when you call the government for help, I don't think it matters, to be honest. So that's a whole other concern. So that's for another video. But anyway, so many people walking around here apparently wrote the book on life. Apparently they know everything. Apparently they think they're part of the Illuminati. And they would actually walk around saying things like, is she still sleeping? Is she still asleep? Is she still asleep? Oh, she's still sleeping. And they behave very condescendingly. And I tried to ignore stuff because I'm like, they must be talking about someone else. No, they were talking. I was actually the target of a very specific mass group of people. And some of these people might be loosely connected and say things in order to get under the skins of whoever they think is targeted for that year. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. My targeting continues to this day on a certain level, but it's much quieter. But they'll say things like, oh, she's still asleep. She doesn't know the truth yet. And they behave very condescendingly as if they know the truth. I don't want to be condescending to people. I will speak what I believe based on my experience in life, but everybody has their own experiences in life. And just because some people might get a special, I don't know, invite to a special group, or maybe they think they're being messaged to on the street through a special means, they're not the only ones, people think they know everything. And maybe they grew up in households, maybe somebody actually works for the CIA and they have a special system of communication. So they think they know everything, but there's always someone higher. Even the commander-in-chief knows that there's someone higher. And the commander-in-chief, of course, would be the president. Even he knows there's someone higher than him in the world of intelligence or what have you, trying to help him make decisions. But the people who walked around here, apparently they're know-it-alls. They know everything. They act like they're better. Oh my God, we had to come around and wake you up or save your ass because you're out here walking dogs, Meanwhile, dog walking might have actually been a good thing for me at a very specific time in my life in order to make a transition. Because here in Philadelphia, I couldn't find any work where people weren't being dumb, to be honest. And I mean playing games And I kept looking for a better environment and considered actually moving to the Pacific Northwest because I thought, you know what, maybe I don't belong here in Philadelphia. I mean, there are great parts of the city, but they prize certain things, and I prize other things. So, and I don't even care. I don't even think the cities are always for sophisticated people. Here, they prize, more of a blue collar, you know, um, uh, sensibility or what have you. So, anyway, but whoever wrote the book on life, they were walking around here willing to hurt people in a condescending way or hurt me. Um, it's hard to explain, but a lot of people with attitude or like an essence with smirks on their faces, like, and there were too many of them, and they acted like know-it-alls. So my life was stolen by a bunch of people who were willing to scare the hell out of me in my apartment to the point that I couldn't function properly or think properly. I kept trying to reach out for help and only found closed doors and people who either didn't know about mobbing or community harassment or pretended they didn't know. Some people think there was even a spiritual level because it got so weird. I've talked to tons of people, but anyway, point being, this city was stocked full of a bunch of self-righteous know-it-alls who haven't learned anything real in life yet. They haven't become real yet. And it's disturbing that they think they know everything when they haven't done any hard work. Okay, so have a great day. And these are even people who are in colleges and universities, and things are fed to them too easily. They are wondering why things are too easy. Okay, so if you're wondering why something's too easy, then you're probably fake. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.